Hey everyone, I'm the Rev, and this week Automobilista 2 was updated to 1.6.4.2. And right at the top of the physics section of the patch notes, we got a minor tread adjustment to various cars, but what we want to concentrate on is GT3 both gens. Now this might feel a bit like Groundhog Day.
Phil? Hey, Phil Connors?
Now it's worth noting that before I tested any of these cars, I reset the setup, which is massively important to do on Automobilista 2 after any patch. So I'm going to start at the beginning with what I class as my three problem cars: the Lamborghini Huracan, the Audi R8 and the McLaren 720S. Now all three of those cars are mid-engined, rear-wheel drive, and they're the cars that I struggled with the most. So for this, the Lamborghini Huracan, I brought it to Road Atlanta because here in Sector 1, down through the S's, this is where I would usually get that vague, no grip, slippy, slidey, however you want to describe it, that feeling that Automobilista 2's GT3's are notorious for. Now it's worth noting that since version 1.6, the GT3's have been gradually improving. Every little update that Rider has done to the tyre model has really helped in terms of trying to eliminate that sliding feeling. So with any luck, this update was going to have more of an impact on it too. And luckily, I'm happy to say, for me, it really did. In the Lamborghini Huracan, through Sector 1, at Road Atlanta, as you crest the hill and you go down into the S's, with the change of direction from left, right, left, I would never get a feeling of grip. It would always feel like the car was never really connected to the road. With those fast changes of direction, I just felt like the tyres, they didn't give you any kind of information whatsoever. But I'm happy to say that as of this update, this one specifically, I think's made a really big difference. There is definitely more of a feeling of grip when the vehicle changes direction quickly. And as if I'd orchestrated it in some way, we're headed now into Sector 1 so that I can tell you exactly what I mean. Down the hill, through the left-hander, you'd never feel the tyres bite. Then you'd change direction, down to the right, down to the left, and the car would always feel like it was moving around. But on this update, it felt great. There was definitely more grip and it was just more fun. Once again, is it going to be the greatest GT3 you're ever going to drive? No, it's not. There's still Assetto Corsa Competizione, Le Mans Ultimate, the various Racing Studio and United Racing Design GT3s for the original Assetto Corsa. However, this is definitely the best that the Lamborghini Huracan has felt on Automobilista 2 in the GT3 class. So was it just the Lamborghini Huracan that was improved, or was it the other cars? I needed to find out. So for this one, I jumped into the Audi R8 and I headed to Donington Park. Again, a track I know really well, and a track that I've driven GT3s on every sim you can possibly imagine. And I'm happy to report that once again, this car felt improved. Especially down the craner curves, that's where I would feel normally that the car was almost pivoting on its centre as opposed to having any kind of front or rear end grip. It would always feel like it was pivoting in the middle. Now this car felt much better with this little update. Just a few weeks ago, I had very much struggled with this car round into Lagos on the LFM. I couldn't get it to grip up, I was always sliding all over the place, but this was much better. As we head now down the hill, down the craner curves, this is where you could feel the changes the most. Coming down the hill at speed, through the left-hander, now the old hairpin on the right, this is where you'd feel the car slide around all over the place. But here, again, it gripped up for me, it felt good, it felt fun, and it was definitely for me the best that this Audi R8 had felt in Automobilista 2. As I go through the crest there, you can just see the back go light on me. That's my poor driving, that's not the game, that's a skill issue on my part. But skill issue aside, the car felt much better. So we were 2 for 2. Now we needed the McLaren 720S to show its form. Would it be improved as well? This car I knew really well, especially around Spa to be honest with you, but I did bring it to Wilton Park because I just thought basically we've seen Spa enough, so we threw Wilton Park on instead. Now as I say, this car I know really well. This is the car that I did my video on where it was the Rev versus James Baldwin, so I do know this car really well because I did loads and loads of laps trying to beat James Baldwin, so I certainly know the feeling, the characteristics, the slidey feeling of the McLaren 720S on Automobilista 2. So, was this improved? Well, it certainly was. Once again, it actually felt like it had a front end. Rather than pivoting on the middle, I felt like I had a front end. I felt like I could actually get a bit of bite when I turned in, and you could just feel more detail, more road grip, more information coming from the road surface, which just allowed you to push the car that little bit more. Now the AI on Oulton Park, I think these were set to 108. These were quite racy, and I did have to actually push a little bit to keep up. But that was exactly what I needed. I needed to try, push the car, put it toward the edge of my ability anyway, as that's where I would normally feel that slidey, no grip, vague force feedback feeling that Automobilista 2 could give you in the GT3 class. Now I'm not saying that it's gone completely, not for a second. However, it's kind of like those charts that you get in the doctors. Do you know where it says, what's your pain? And there's like a smiley face at one end and a miserable face at the other end. And there's numbers from 1 to 10 and you're supposed to tell the doctor what your pain is. Well, if the slidey feeling, if that feeling was a 10, because it was very, very bad for me, if that feeling was a 10, it was now, let's say a 4. So it's come down massively. And more towards the smiley face end than the miserable face end. I bet you never thought you'd watch a video where levels of traction would be described using a doctor's chart. I'm sure that's how they do it in the pros. But the McLaren, it was improved, so that's all 3 mid-engine cars that I struggled with massively improved thanks to this patch. So, I thought that for the end of the video, we'd take out the BMW M4. Now I know that this is front-engined rear-wheel drive, but I just thought that it was worthwhile trying this out as well. Again, I'd driven this car in the past, I wasn't a massive fan, so it was certainly worthwhile giving it a test after this update, and once again, I was really happy to say that it felt much, much improved. Now this car I felt had great weight, better weight than the mid-engine cars, it just felt heavier. Maybe it's heavier in real life, I'm not 100% sure, but it just felt heavier. I certainly felt that I had more grip with it, and a front-engined rear-wheel drive car just suits my on-the-nose type driving style that bit better. This car certainly felt different to the mid-engine cars, as it should do, but it was much improved after this update. Once again, more grip, more feel, more detail from the road surface, more of an idea what the tyres are doing, which for me just makes the game much, much more enjoyable. Now, it's worth pointing out as well that the AI, they had a few tweaks as well, and I felt that they were much better. They seemed to be racing one another. They raced me as they always had in the past. Oh, right on cue, the McLaren exit stayed right. But yeah, with all the little tweaks, Riser was definitely going in the right direction with the AI and with the handling. So for me, as we stand at the time of making this video, this is the absolute best the GT3's have felt on Automobilista 2. I would actually come back to these now to actually have a race with them, because as I say, on Oulton Park for example, the AI I was struggling to keep up with, so they could give me a decent race now. So I would definitely come back to play this in single player with the GT3 class. Now I couldn't say that before this update. So I'm going to leave it there. I'd love to know your thoughts. Please do let me know in the comment section below what you think. If you like what I do on the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button, and do remember to reset your setups every time that there's a patch for Automobilista 2. Reset the default setup and go from there, and that gives you a better feel for what's changed and what's not. But as always, I've been the Reverend. Thank you very much for watching.